what made you get into real estate? And then in real estate, what's your trajectory of what you're going to do now?
Yeah. So take a step back. I got into real estate, rich dad, poor dad. I know it's a cliche answer, but that's how I got
Oh,
in.
no, it's not a cliche. That's absolutely like, that's literally the book that I read in 2006, 5 or 6, that got me thinking, I really need to change my life. So if anybody hasn't read it, you absolutely must read it. So I know everybody has read it, it seems like, but the same thing, not everybody has. So it's always a great book that I would highly, highly recommend. So anyways, continue on.
Yeah, so I was trying to start all these little side projects, side hustles. That's kind of just my mentality early on after I got into personal development. It was like, I want to do something other than my job. And my job was making me great money. And I lived very frugal, lived below my means, delayed gratification, saved up a lot. And then I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and was like, oh man, first I got into stocks, and then it transitioned into I kind of like tangible assets, something that I actually can, work on, improve, have other people rent, and also provide a service for other people. And so that journey kind of led me down to house hacking. And I was in my, I think, mid-20s when I first got started. This is around 2021. And I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I always loved Arizona. So I'm like, why don't I buy a house out in Arizona?
Quickly explain house hacking and then get back to living in Oregon.
Absolutely. So house hacking for me, I rented out all the rooms in the house. So I lived in one room and rented out the rest of the rooms in the house. And ideally is so you can live for free, or you can actually live in the house and actually make money beyond the mortgage from the rental income from the other people. Another way to do it is through buying like a 4-unit and then living in one of the units and renting out the other 3. And also there's a lot of things. I think you actually just had a podcast I listened to about this, where there's a lot of great ways in finance where you can get the home owner occupied, and it's only 3.5% to 5% down. So a lot of financing ways to get in, especially early on. I tell everyone, like, this is the way to go. Get into a house by house hacking. And so, yeah, I decided to buy a bigger house out in Arizona. Wasn't sure when I was going to live out there because I was living in Portland. And so I got the house 10% down as my second home. And then eventually was like, man, I love Arizona. I want to kind of move out there. And so at the same time, I'm like, okay, who should I rent out these rooms to? And for me, I'm always super hyper focused and intentional about who I'm surrounding myself with. So I was surrounding myself with other people who are like-minded, whether they were in sales, business professionals, entrepreneurs. And that's kind of how I got started. So I just surrounded myself with these like-minded people in a house.
And with that, I mean, you definitely took a huge action in buying that first property, moving out here. I personally love Arizona, even though now I'm moving to Tennessee. I definitely love Arizona. It's getting a little too California-ish. There's a lot of California people moving over here, but it's still it's still a great state. Now with that, you bought one property, and then when you came to Rubicon, the Real Estate Wealth Builders Conference, you were also, I think you bought a second one at the time. So now you have 2. Is that correct?
I think I was just like in the middle, or maybe just bought my second house. And that's kind of when the concept of Growth House started. Was, man, all these people are loving living with other like-minded people. There's nothing else like that. And so I was like, all right, let me cater to, this demographic, which was me, right before I bought the house. I would have loved to live in one of these houses with other like-minded people. And so with that being said, I got my second house. But there's kind of a fun story I like to share about the second house, because for me, writing down my goals was the reason I was actually able to even get out of analysis paralysis. Guys, I don't know if you're like me, but I spent 5 years saying I was going to buy a house. 5 years. And nothing ever happened. I would get, a little bit further in a deal, but never make an offer, just get too scared and back out. And so before I got the first house, and this actually leads to the story of how I got my second house. So I'm in Portland and I'm like, I need to get this house. And so I write it down in my journal. So every single year, at the end of the year, I write a goal, right? And so for me, it was by February of, I think this might have been 2021, I want to buy my first property. I write it down. After I write it down, I literally make an offer like 3 days later, and then close the day before the expiration date of my goal. So it's just like this, the power of the pen to pad and making it happen, kind of like a written negotiation contract with yourself, is super important. And so that's how I got my first house. Mm-hmm.
That's so terrific, because you're saying I'm absolutely going to be doing this no matter what is going to come my way. I'm not going to let anything stop me. And when I was quitting my job, so I already bought a couple properties, I said in 10 years, I'm going to quit my job no matter what. Like, even if I don't have enough money, I'm still going to quit. Like, it's a deadline, more than deadline. It's like I'm burning the bridges as I go, and there's no turning back. So then you got your second property, but with the 2 different properties, you created something that I was thinking, oh my goodness, that sounds like a lot of work, but at the same time, it is super fun that you're helping people. You made it into a communal type of living where people live together and help each other out. But before we get to that, I got to ask about the name, the Growth House. I told my wife, "Hey, babe, I'm going to go and speak at the Growth House." She's all, you don't know anything about marijuana. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. I know. It's about real estate. It's about finance and everything like that." So tell me, how'd you get the name of the Growth House?
Yeah, for me, it was just growth-minded people. And then after, we got the LLC and everything, everyone was like, "Oh, what are you growing?" I'm like, guys, no, not that type
Growing
of growth.
people. We're growing people. Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.